What's going on YouTube? Pure TCG here again with another undefeated deck profile. As you can see in the title and the thumbnail, I was playing Tier Limit. Just infatuated with this deck, having too much fun, having good results with it. Regional coming up here shortly. Thinking I'm going to be trying to take this and dodge Cash in the room. If you play against Cash, just take the L. But otherwise, I was trying out a new variant, so I thought I'd let you guys in on this version. I've tried all versions up until this point, so pretty much with the Synchro variant, the Hero variant, and now with the full Pure Shaddoll list, I can kind of have a baseline of which versions, and at least I can see with a matter of fact of which ones I like. But let's get into the deck profile first, and then we'll go through it all. 3 Rhinoheart. I think it's staple. So many people play 2. I think this is just like one of the best mills to get cards out of your hand and then help keep your engine flowing as well as on your opponent's turn. And you always want to see this in the graveyard, especially with the cross sheet plays in this version. You fuse so much more, especially when you're using Schism to kind of fuse on your opponent's turn. You're not always making Wenda. You're also making the other attributes to send off of Schism's effect and then get pluses. And then you can fuse even further with the Rhinoheart in the graveyard. Playing one of each of the girls. Copium, we can bring these back to 2. Give us more than one name of each, that'd be awesome. Another mandatory 3 of. This is not debated by anyone in the Tier Limit world. Gotta play 3. And then I'm always playing the 1 Fenrir. I think the 1 Fenrir just offers so much, especially going second in the deck, being able to put this on board and then it's a card they must answer, and then you can go ahead and normal Rhinoheart or start your milling plays, whichever. I think this card's insanely strong. We ever kick Kalos of the deck, 3 King of the Swamps. This card's still just so good. I am going to try the Synchro variant with the Beast King of the Swamps, but Guardian Chimera comes up so much that I feel like it's just wrong not to play the King of the Swamps. And then obviously with that, we have the 1 Poly. So going in, I'm playing all 4 of these Shizu. The Medora gets sided out a lot during game 2, depending on the matchup. But I think in the first game, being able to have access to both of these is huge. And then the Shufflers are just too strong on their own. I mean the Millers. I am playing the Shaddoll version, so we got Hell Shaddoll and the Shaddoll Beast. The amount of times I've actually milled like 3 or 4 off of this card, and it's just like another extender, is amazing. I'm really shocked and surprised by this card every time, that it lets you continue going through plays, especially when you end up going second with the deck. And then I'm playing 1 Diviner. I'm not playing the Falco. I think the Falco is a brick. Don't really ever want to see that card where this is a starter, and then if you mill it, you can make your Barone plays, or you can just have it bait out an interaction. This card came up a lot, as well as being able to send it off of Shaddoll Fusion to make Construct, and then Construct being just kind of a house and destroying everything is really nice. That's it for the monsters. Spell lineup, still playing the same lineup for the planets. 3 of Paralino, 1 Thrasos, and then 1 Terraforming. Being able to go through all of this is really strong. This being the 2nd Fenrir instead of actually playing a 2nd Fenrir is huge, so that way you don't brick up too much. This gets sided out a lot when I see that they're playing Droll, especially off of a Mill 5. If I see Droll, this is coming out instantly, as well as maybe the Terraforming. You just got to kind of play around with it, but being able to play into all of this and having the Terraforming, if you already have a planet in the field or in your hand, being able to search something else so that the way the Terraforming is not dead as well, I think it's just too valuable, and that cards are crazy. 2 Scream, really want to bump this up to 3. I think this is like one of the best cards in the deck as far as Tier Limit spell and traps. Being able to play on your opponent's turn. The mill 3 is so huge, especially after you go turn 1 mill 4th of your deck or more, and then this being able to start your plays on your opponent's turn after your deck's already solo. 1 Grief, will never not play with this card. Trivia card amount, being able to search this is huge, and then as well as being able to have some recursion for your spell or for your traps. When you put them in the graveyard, being able to banish them and then hit this off of Grief is great. I'm playing the 1 Goods, 1 Burial. Don't play 2 Goods because I'm always scared of bricking on this card. A lot of people play 2. I wouldn't fault you for playing 2 Goods, but once again, I just don't ever want to draw 2 of this card. Non-engine slot, I chose to play 3 Super Poly. One of the best board breakers right now, and I feel like this over Book of Moon gives you just a little bit more flexibility. Haven't played against Pearly, so I guess I'm dodging the matchup that the books are supposed to be good in. So if you think you're going to be playing against Pearly, like maybe at the regional, I'll swap these out for Book of Moons. But right now, the Super Polys are great. We have 2 Solic, 1 Meta Noise, and then the Trivy Karma. Meta Noise, I think the card is super strong, especially when you have weird plays and you get interrupted a bunch. Being able to normal the Rhino Heart, and if that gets interrupted, just setting the Meta Noise and then having this as a dump is really good. And then 2 Solic, got to play it. Trivy Karma, breaking the deck, but you got to play it as well. I think this card is really strong. Access to Planet is huge. And then for the Shaddolls, 1 Fusion and 1 Schism. Fusion's searchable going second, and then Schism is just a crazy card going first. It does make some awkward lines, and you can get nibbed a little bit easier in this version. So that's the part about this version I don't like, is it first you have to go into your weird awkward lines and use one of your fusions plus one of your King of the Swamps in order to start this play off. So it is really awkward when you're not used to the lines, and then having to mill a second King of the Swamp and another name to get into more fusions is also, I don't know, I'm back and forth on whether I like this package or not. It deserves more testing, but it also blows out a little bit more against Dimensional Barrier, where if you're playing like the Synchro build, you can still kind of build up a board without having to play this, but it was pretty strong. Going into the extra, Standard, Rukalos, Kaleido, Grapha, Mud, Garua, Dragostapelia, Guardian Chimera. Standards, nothing to talk about there. All right, going into the Shaddol package. This is the Shaddol lineup that I was running. Winda, Construct was my send if the Schism was already in the graveyard, so that way the Shikanaga was still alive if I ended up wanting to go down the Shaddol Fusion turn 3 route. App Clone's your send off the Grand Guganol. Grand Guganol is your bridge for the entire deck. So you just make this, send the App Clone, search, and then discard another card, and you can continue your plays off of there. It was pretty good. This also being free fodder to then send to the graveyard to make Cross Sheep is pretty good. And then you can always just put this back in your extra deck and then send, like I said, Construct or the Shikanaga to add back like Shaddol Fusion, and then continue playing on your opponent's on your turn 3 is really strong. The only other card that I would think this extra deck could need is I had a couple games where my opponent would put up a big Towers monster, and it was a little annoying to have to go through different routes to try and get around it. Like one of my opponents made Final Sigma, and then I had to do an awkward line to actually try and get over it and beat over it. But I really wish that there was room for Goddess, or whatever her name is, Underworld Goddess. I don't know why I'm blanking, but Underworld Goddess, like I said, I didn't play against any Pearly, so not having Underworld Goddess in the extra deck made me a little nervous, but luckily I was able to dodge him. So the only 3 non-fusions I was running, Barone, super strong, Cross Sheep, and then Redoer. Cross Sheep is insane. There's a lot of times where you'll even make Cross Sheep without using its effect on your turn, but just being able to set this up so you can have it pointing to a fusion, and then on your turn, on their turn, special summon Teal'c's Cache, and then bring back a Rhino Heart, and then start your fusion plays off that way is huge. So don't expect this to be just a combo piece. You can set it up as an interruption on your opponent's turn. But side deck real quick. My side deck was a little mid, but it worked out. 3 Droll, gotta have it. There's too many combo decks that are trying to Calamity Lock right now, and Droll's just a killer for him. Never sided these in, like I said, never saw Pearly. This is mainly for Pearly in my side. These could also be Book of Moons, but yeah, I never saw the reason to side these in. 3 Bell, good for the Bestial deck, good for Branded. I think this card is just a super strong side card. We have the one called by. Try and maybe get lucky when you're playing against anything playing Dimensional Shifter. I cited the other two Shaddoll fusions. These cards are the MVP of the side deck. Highly recommend trying out the Shaddoll version if you have not so far. These cards just blow out your opponent when you start baiting stuff with like your planets and your other searches, and they blow the ash, and then you're like, I'll resolve my branded fusion and get more pluses than you could ever imagine. It's just insane. And then I still side 3 evenly. This is just a blowout in locals. This card's just crazy. You can also bait a lot of things out. Keep your little guys in attack mode with your fusions by baiting stuff out. Ram into something and then evenly them. Do that classic play and then continue to play main phase 2. That came up once or twice. Overall, the Shaddoll version was a lot stronger than I thought. I didn't like the idea of playing the brick initially with the Schism in the main, but this also does give a lot of follow-up on your opponent's turn. Going second, going into their turn 2 or turn 3 of the game, being able to Schism and then send one of their monsters after the Schism resolves is really nice. It does, like I said, add another brick and another layer. I did get nibbed a lot more in this version because I was having to go through the app clone lines first, because you can't guarantee your mills obviously in this version. So being able to get to this first was kind of my mainstay priority. And then by the time I got to my other fusion, I'd get nibbed or something along those lines. So like I said, it is a little awkward, but I think this version is very strong. If you haven't tried it out, definitely try it out. This one's almost a little bit more consistent than the Synchro version. So if you're wanting more consistency and want to go more into the mills, this version's better. If you want the explosive power and not to get blown out by D-Barrier, I suggest trying the Synchro version. I want to try the Synchro version out with Omega. Being able to put back Shufflers is huge, and then being able to also put back names if you get Bystials is also huge. So if you watch my previous version, I think the Drygite is going to come out for an Omega, and I'm going to try the Omega out and see if I can get some more games in with that right before the regional and see how I like that. But let's go ahead and crack into these winning packs and see if we can get lucky and pull anything. If you guys want any more test hands, if you want me to go into maybe some more of my reasoning, I know this video is kind of long-winded with the Shaddoll package. It's my first time trying out the bigger Shaddoll package, so I wanted to kind of go through my reasoning and my first initial thoughts with the deck. I think it deserves more testing. You can play the Falco if you want. Like I said, I feel like it was kind of a brick, just from the small games I tested before locals. But the Diviner came up quite a bit today. I drew it quite a few times. So was that, how many of these did I just pull out of here? Literally all of my supers were the same things. Interesting. Gotta love the Konami pack distribution. All right, let's see if we can get lucky and pull a Thrust. I would love to have another Thrust. One of the things I like for the side is if you have the Thrust, being able to side the Thrust and Daruma Cannon. So if you do get D-shifted on your turn, at least you kind of have that going for you, where you can kind of stop it. But ooh, no luck. All right, let me know what you guys thought. If you have any suggestions or anything that you guys have found out through your testing, I would love to hear it. Like I said, I keep testing different versions of the deck. There's so many versions running around, and everyone thinks that their opinion's right. And I'm just trying to kind of try them all and see what I'm feeling is the best. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great one. This is Pure TCG. Peace out.